You're watching this because you need a UPS that actually lets you sleep at night, something reliable enough to keep your servers humming, easy enough that you don't have to become a certified electrician to keep it running, and worth the money you're putting into it, not just a box with a long list of specs you'll never use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Most of us have stared at a rack full of equipment, wondered what would happen if the power flickered, and then realized the cheapest UPS on the shelf might not survive a real outage or a tiny leak that could ruin everything. That hesitation is real. When you're responsible for a small data center or a network closet that supports a handful of critical services, the wrong UPS can mean a half day of downtime, data loss, or a frantic scramble to replace a fried server. On the flip side, overspending on a unit you'll never push to its limits is just as painful. The APC SRT8KXLT leak-proof UPS sits in that sweet spot where enterprise-grade protection meets a design that actually thinks about the everyday tech manager's workflow. First off, the leak-proof label isn't just marketing fluff. In a rack environment, any condensation or accidental spill can seep into the battery compartment and cause catastrophic failure. This unit's sealed enclosure keeps water out, which is a huge win for anyone who's ever had a rooftop AC unit leak onto a rack or who works in a humid data hall. That peace of mind translates into a very tangible cost saving. You avoid the expensive replacement of both the UPS and any downstream equipment that would have been damaged by a battery leak. The automatic internal bypass is another feature that only makes sense once you've lived through a power hiccup. Imagine you're performing a firmware upgrade on a core switch, and the UPS itself decides to reboot because of an internal fault. With a traditional UPS, your switch would lose power and you'd be left troubleshooting a network outage. The SRT8KXLT's internal bypass automatically reroutes the load around the UPS in the event of a UPS failure, keeping the power path open without a hiccup. In real life, that means you can finish your upgrade, walk away, and not have to answer a frantic Slack message about why the whole floor went dark. Scalable runtime is a phrase you hear a lot, but what does it look like day to day? The unit comes with a base battery pack, but you can add additional battery modules in the same rack without shutting down your load. For a growing business, that flexibility is priceless. One of my clients started with a single 10 kVA load and added 2 extra battery strings after a year of expansion. They never had to pull the UPS out of the rack or schedule a weekend shutdown. The hot swap capability let the tech walk up, slide the old module out, slide a fresh one in, and the UPS recalibrated on the fly. Intelligent battery management might sound like a buzzword, but it's actually a set of algorithms that monitor temperature, charge cycles, and health to optimize the charge/discharge curve. In a 24/7 operation, batteries degrade faster if they're constantly overcharged or left in a high-temperature environment. This UPS talks to the batteries, throttles charge when they're warm, and alerts you via SNMP or the web interface when a module is approaching end of life. The practical upside is you get a longer battery lifespan, fewer surprise replacements, and a clear maintenance schedule that you can plug into your existing ticketing system. Now, who should actually buy this thing? If you run a server room with at least a few critical workloads, think on-premise virtualization hosts, storage arrays, or network core devices, and you have a rack that can accommodate a 19-inch, 30 kilograms unit, the SRT8KXLT is a solid choice. It shines for managed service providers who need to guarantee uptime for multiple clients, for labs that run expensive instrumentation, and for any organization that has already adopted a no single point of failure policy. The leak-proof design also makes it a good fit for environments that are less than pristine, data halls in older buildings, facilities with air conditioner condensation issues, or even telecom closets on the street level where rain can make its way in. Conversely, if you're a solo freelancer working from a home office, or you have a small business router and a couple of NAS devices that can tolerate a few minutes of outage, you're probably overspecifying. A line interactive UPS in the 500 VA range would cover you at a fraction of the price and with a lighter footprint. The SRT8KXLT also isn't the best match for anyone who doesn't have the space for a rack-mountable unit or who can't provide the dedicated cooling that a 10 kVA unit generates. Those units can run warm, and while the intelligent management helps, you still need adequate airflow. Otherwise, you'll see the battery life shorten faster than the spec sheet promises. Let's talk about the practical weaknesses. The first is cost. You're looking at a premium price tag that reflects